Hi, my name is Tandin Tuli and you're watching Joburg Today.
The underserved community of Randfontein, west of Johannesburg, now has a recently launched Umphakathi Mall to cater to their basic needs. I speak to Marianka Victor, CEO of Ankara Property Group, about this development and more.
We focus on shopping centre developments throughout South Africa, and we've always been specialising in the township rural areas where we see a massive opportunity for the future. So Umphakathi started off with a piece of land. We found an opportunity in speaking to the tenants and understanding that Boxer and Pick n Pay was interested, and then found a developer that wanted to purchase this piece of land. And we ended up working with the architects, the QS, the tenants, government, the municipality, taxi ranks, as well as the local community to put the scheme together. Umphakathi Mall actually also means community.
What have you identified in terms of opportunities within the township environment?
Well, townships are actually very interesting. There's a lack of services, basic services, and there's often a lot of people. The population size is massive, and the people in these areas are underestimated. There's buying power, there's money being sent home, and what we find is that there are massive opportunities waiting, but the missing link is someone to put them together. And obviously with developments and property as a whole, there's a lot of risk. You never really know. We often work for 2 to 3 years on a development before we know that it's being built and it's going to open. So, our hearts behind it is to understand the community needs, to understand what brands and shops they are looking for, and then to put the puzzle pieces together. So what we find is like an Umphakathi Mall. It was 3.5 years worth of work, but we ended up giving the community the shops, which creates jobs, and as well as alternative income. We look at fiber. How can we bring Wi-Fi to these areas? And one of the biggest problems we're really experiencing is that people in townships are driving 60 to 80 kilometers to the nearest town. That transport money is really expensive if they're going to buy some of the basic foods. So by putting a shopping centre in the direct node where they live, we not only provide the basic services, but also access to jobs, access to products that they need, and money that has been distributed into those areas can be spent in that areas, which also uplifts that community.
In terms of the dynamics that you have to deal with, what are they? What do they comprise of? And how have you managed to navigate some of these tricky issues?
Sure. To put a development together, there's a lot of challenges. I think the biggest one is really that you need to meet a certain percentage national tenants. These are tenants like Pep, Mr. Price, ShopRite, Chicken Lick and KFC. Those are the brands everyone will know. And they are also the tenants that don't always pay the highest amount of rental. So to get the numbers working from a financial institution such as our banks to finance a development, we need 70 to 80% national tenants signed up. That basically opens up the value and the income stream of that development, and that's a massive challenge. Some of the other challenges is working with the municipalities. The cost, if there's a traffic light required in the town, more often than not, the developer is expected to pay for these, as well as services, the lack of electricity in areas. These are really stumbling blocks for us to put this whole development together. Another stumbling block for us is the community. More often than not, the community will feel that they're not being benefited in this development and that they need to be part of it. And as much as we try and communicate with the community as to giving them the value add, bringing the services to them, bringing the jobs, creating extra spaces in which to potentially do learning centres and adding value to that community, it is a real challenge to bring all these aspects together to ultimately get this project alive and built and opening and trading. A lot of times we get stopped by the communities, work gets stopped. So there's a variety of challenges in putting this together.
Where do you see the role of malls within townships now lying?
Well, I think a lot's changed. You know, with COVID, we saw that a lot of the township malls traded a lot better than the urban areas. They were a lot more resilient in the market, and that showed us something, you know. I think also that the future of malls in general is definitely open strip malls, definitely smaller in size. South Africa has a lot of malls. You know, if you really go and look, I think we're third or fourth on the world list of the most malls. So in saying that, there's still a lot of untapped opportunities in these townships. And I think that where we've often, as property developers and people in property, have missed the point is we don't give the community what they want, what they need. It historically has always been about the return, and it still is to a big sense. But I think it's our responsibility to build malls that's the right size with the right tenant mix that serves that community. Don't overspec a mall. Don't build. Don't maximize your GLA. GLA is your gross lettable space. Rather build what is needed and fill that space. Put the right tenants in that serve that market.